Alright guys, so today we're gonna talk about how your back foot placement affects how efficiently you rotate your board. So we're gonna be using shoves, 3 shoves, back 180s, and back 360s to kind of talk about how you can make spinning your board and even spinning yourself a bit more efficiently, and so it doesn't have to take so much effort and sacrifice control when you're trying to learn tricks like back threes. Pretend I landed that. All right, so look, what we're gonna start off with is shove it's, front side and back side. So for a front side shove, I used to think that my back foot had to be placed in the center right here, where when I push down, I'm pushing down right in the center. But as I started to play around with different foot positionings, so for example, front shove like this, whoops, from here, or from here, I realized that there is no right way to go about it, but there is the most efficient way for my type of skating and how my mechanics are already oriented. So it does make it easier to spin the board if your foot is here when you push down, but sometimes depending on where you have your front foot, this can feel a little off balance. Sometimes it can work. For me, messing around with having my foot closer to the toe side, center or heel side, I figured out that keeping it a little between the heel side and the toe side is what works best for me, right? So when I go to applying that same concept or that same type of curiosity when I'm learning a backside shove it, I start to play around with the foot placements of it closer to the toe side, on the center, and then even on the heel side, which feels very awkward, right? Not to say it doesn't work or it's not efficient. None of them are more efficient than the other, but I do want you to play around with each position, because you might figure out that it might work easier if you put your foot slightly towards the heel side, right? Now, I talk a lot about, I don't know if I talked a lot about it here, but in my day-to-day conversations about understanding skateboarding, or in my efforts to understand skateboarding, I talk about how you could mirror the regular stance tricks and make it and kind of shortcut the approach. And so I find whenever I skate switch, on top of, aside from my front foot, this back foot should be in the center, because that's where I have the most stability, therefore the most control when I'm actually going about landing switch front shoves. So that's kind of the concept with shove it's. Depending on where you have it, it can make it easier to rotate, spin the board. Now for 3 shoves, I know some people do them from here, from the center. Let me try to land it. I need to land it here. This is not the way I like to hit, but there we go. That actually worked pretty good. Let's do it again. One more. Okay, it didn't work. How about you stay in the center, I think. So basically, for me, it doesn't work. It doesn't feel comfortable. But if I was looking at a tutorial and they said, oh, you want to put your foot in the center, they might feel comfortable here because they feel most stable, right? But you know, because of maybe how your top half of your body is positioned, or even how your front foot is positioned, it might feel a little easier if you put it on the toe side. For me, that's kind of what works best in my case. Now, you'll find someone who does 3 shoves with their foot right here on the heel side. Like I said, the truth is that there is no more efficient way to do it for you specifically, because if we're talking about efficiency, we're saying what's the easiest way, and sometimes the most efficient way to do it is the hardest for someone else, right? And the reason I say that, we can look at an example like Amu, which is a skater who does kickflips and heel flips with their whole foot on the board at first. Instead of doing their kickflip like this, they'll go from here, and you know, what looks inefficient for me for my skating is very efficient, effective, and he has a lot of control in his own, right? So again, there is no right way, there's no efficient way, in my opinion, based off of all these experiences and even examples such as Amu. But I encourage you to try out different spots, and even though it might work for you to do a 3 shove this way in your regular stance, it also doesn't mean that you should stick to that same back foot positioning on a switch stance, because of, like I said earlier, how your top half of the body is positioned or just naturally distributes weight. It might already be easier to rotate your board 360 because your body might want to already, how would I say, be rotating. Put your put your biomechanics in a position where it can leverage that spin easier, right? For example, my hip when I go switch is slightly on the toe side. Like, I know you can't see this, but I feel like my hip is heavier on my toe side when I'm on my switch stance. But when I'm in my regular stance, it feels like it sits over the heel side more naturally. So, having said that, because I'm naturally already on the toe side, I maybe don't need to do this, or else I might be falling forward. So in order to compensate, I might just have to be in the center, right? So that I can make sure that I'm centered over that front foot. Now, if I want to dig deep into it and really mirror the same trick, then I have to bring this hip back by just hinging a bit, putting this foot here, because you can already see if I have it in the center and I hinge back, I'm already tilting to my heel side, right? But if I just bring it naturally how it wants to sit and go down, it's more centered. So these are very technical conversations that can be so confusing, which is why I'm saying there is no right or wrong way. But what I'm saying is you want to explore and be curious with how your back foot, how these different positions of the back foot can affect the leverage you have to spin your board, do 180s, and even shove it. So just for the fun of it, I'm kind of gonna go over how I do my front shove it's. Nollie, switch, and regular. So we're gonna do switch. You see how I have it towards the heel side? So just keep that in mind. Fakie on the center. Oh, and you already see that it's so easy for me to spin it. So sometimes I'll even be a bit closer to the toe side. That way it doesn't overturn. Now Nollie. This one, it's easy to spin because I'm going Nollie. So this one I'm always inclined to be closer to the toe side. Because if I have it here, you'll see. Actually, that one's good. But normally I'll have it in the center a bit. That one was horrible. That one's better. It's because I was on my tail on the second one. But generally when I'm going faster or off stairs or anything like that into a bank, I want to make sure I don't overspin, so I keep it towards the toe side. Because generally when I have it closer to the toe side, it's easier to spin basically. So now regular shove-its. With a switch shove it, I tend, because like I said, this hip sits sits closer to the toe side. If I put it here, I'm already falling towards the toe side sometimes. So I like to put it in the center to kind of counterbalance and make sure that my weight sits over comfortably. Oh, okay. So now we're gonna do fakie. This one, another one. When you're going fakie or nollie, I find that it's so much easier to spin. So I always want to gravitate towards popping it more on the heel side, so that even if I go back, it's not as easy to get stuck. Right? I feel like if I'm here, I can easily get stuck. So I'll go more towards the center. That way I don't risk overturning. Same thing towards the heel side. Same thing when I'm going nollie. More towards the heel side. Alright? Oh, I have this like performance anxiety when I miss a trick. Okay. Damn, I'm leaning back. We need to do a good one. Going this way. You see how it over-rotated? So right there, I had my foot here towards the toe side. You guys can replay it. So I need to put it on the heel side. Heel side. See? And I even popped it more. So this might not work for you, like I said, because you might go here and your hip sits more centered, and that might that might have you needing to compensate a bit differently, or just set your body weight your foot positioning slightly in a different manner. So basically all I'm doing is showing you how I adjust depending on my structure, right? How I adjust the back foot depending on my biomechanical structure. Is that too much? I think that's enough. Or like, I think that makes sense, right? Biomechanical structure, I mean like your posture, basically. I think that sounds better.
Find the center mass.
No, I'm saying like the way you adjust your back foot is a result of how your posture is on top of the board. Because like I said, if I'm switch, but I go here, I'm more inclined to go forward because my posture is naturally already leaning forward. But in a regular stance, it's okay if I go on my toe side because my posture is naturally coming back here. It's still very similar. It's just that this hip comes in.
Yeah.
You know, so depending on how your posture is, your back foot might need to change a bit. And that's why I'm saying you got to explore the different positions that your back foot can be in, so that you know what's most efficient for your skating. I think if we can just put that part in the beginning, that'd be perfect. 'Cause that's really what I'm trying to get at. So did we do switch? We didn't do switch or fakie, huh? Anyways, I think I did this one.
Yeah, I thought you did switch.
Oh, I didn't do regular one. So for the regular one, I find if I put it here, because I'm so used to already spinning 360, I'll put my foot closer to the center. Oh, that was too much. Let's do it again. Not good, huh?
Yeah.
Not the land, but. Now, if I were to do that same trick, more on the toe side like that, it tends to slightly over-rotate, especially if I'm going off of a 4-set, or any set of stairs, or even into a manual. Like yesterday, actually, I was doing a pop shove it onto the bank, and I had to be super intentional about where I placed this foot, because if I was going with that speed and I placed it here, I was gonna risk it flipping or over spinning. So I have to be super intentional about having it right here in the center. So all it's doing is going up and turning.
15.
Huh?
15.
Cool, and turning in the way I want it to. But now we can talk about 180s. Let's do a switch 180. Center. Regular 180. Center. Okay, now back 180s. I just want to show you where my back foot is placed based off of my posture. Center. So pretty much all of them, I have it in the center. But there are a lot of skaters who have their foot in the back right here to do 180. Doesn't work for me. And even have their back foot here for a backside 180. No right or wrong. I find that if you are going off stairs, it's harder to have it on the corners because it's less stable. But if you have maximum stability and control in that position, power to you. I mean, Nigel, he does his kickflips like all the way out here. I don't know how he does it, right? But it works for him. But I'm sure that came over years and years of trying out different methods. And also, he was a kid doing kickflip front boards into rails. So like he's probably so used to, you know, only using that much of his foot. So everyone's different in that case. What other tricks? Nollie. Okay, same thing with nollies. I'm super intentional about being in the center. Otherwise, I'll catch myself on the heel or something. So I center. Now half cab. Center. So I've found that keeping it in the center for 180s just keeps it consistent, and what I have to mostly worry about is the top half of my body. But as far as back foot positioning with 180s, it doesn't matter if I'm going front side or back side. I find that it's good in the center for all 180s. For shove it's different. Some of them I have them here, others here. It really just depends how fast I want my board to spin or how slow I want it to spin, and really, you know, what obstacle I'm skating. So it's good to have that variability. So and that's another reason why I want to encourage you to try out different back foot positionings for different tricks. For example, if you're doing a tray flip, you see some skaters going here, and it might not be allowing them to really rotate the board consistently. So maybe you don't need to go all the way to the corner over here, right? Like a lot of skaters do, but you can put it maybe you don't have to go right here next to the pocket, but maybe you can go to the corner, right? It's a happy medium, and it's not too much of a change where you can still kind of slowly adapt to what's eventually going to work, you know, because this is kind of like an experiment of discovery, because with skating you really don't know what's the best way. You know, there's been plenty of times where for years I've been practicing a trick, for example a varial flip, right? And for years I was like, I mean, that wasn't a good one, but for years I was like, dude, I don't understand them. And the only change I had to do was, instead of having my foot here, have my foot there, right? That's the only change, because before you see how it like over rotated?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it do all the time. And so now I put it just more in the center, no over rotation, and that was even a good pop. And I'm confident with that. It just works. It's more consistent. Watch me eat right now. Okay, but it didn't over rotate. It was actually there. It just works. Like, I didn't figure this out till 3 years ago or 4, something like that. And I say this because It was a game changer. And all I had to do was not stick to the way I would do a shove it, right? Sorry, shove it before, which is like this, right? I just had to, it was after I explored different positions, I got comfortable doing pop shove it's like this because I wanted to do pop shove at 50. And I was like, wait, let me try to do a varial flip with my back foot position there. That it just worked out. Damn, that was bad. Let's do a good one. Let's do a good one. That's probably the worst one. No!
21 minutes.
Okay. I just need to land this. Wait. What? There we go. Okay, having said that, explore different positionings for your back foot. Discover new ways that might be efficient for you. And have fun discovering. Till next video, I'll see you in the next one.